Montgomery.
Hello, everybody.
Are we live?
Maybe. Give me a second.
She didn't say when. She didn't say when.
Yeah, you know, we're going to hit the medical marijuana after that, then, because I think it's a very worthy concept. And, we can start with what we saw on the local news, What was it? What was that fucking thing? Pot City or whatever the fuck that was.
Oh, the show, Pot City.
Pot City. I mean, it was... Fuck you. Oh, God, I hate that station, local station anyway. Have you ever seen their little... commercial for the local news show? They're all like doing the Macarena.
Yeah.
Aren't you disturbed by that?
Hold on. I gotta see
All
if
right.
we're live.
She said she never stopped loving me.
Yep, we're live.
And she was
All right,
coming
well, let's,
on the train.
now that we got what we're going to talk about. Monty Pug. So let's see, you want to do the intro? Can we start the intro?
Yeah, rip it up. Let's go.
Can you believe it's true?
All right. Live deep in the avenues, it's the DammitJim Show with me, your distractor in chief, deep in the avenues. Sideshow Todd. It's what's up with that? The back? Why am I being heard back to myself?
Because I have the sound up on the live.
So, anyway, folks, we got
I
to
suck at this.
we just a minor technical issue. It's part of the charm of the show. So fuck the intro. So we're just going to go right in. We got some good stuff today. We're going to talk about military-industrial complex. We're going to talk about marijuana in Phoenix, Arizona. And then I think then we're going to get into some local stuff.
Can you turn that camera a little bit? Just a touch. Just a touch.
Local is
You
in
can see-
personal.
oh, she's got the viewfinder. There you go. That's perfect.
Why do we need regulations?
No,
I'm
too
going to
far,
show you
too far.
why we need
Go back.
regulations, and then
I
some
wanna hide.
sports.
There we go. Perfect. Nope, too far.
And then
You know what? Just pick up the whole thing and
we'll
move
be
it. 'Cause,
done.
it's jumping back. So turn it a little
apparently
bit towards
we
Todd.
are having some
There you
technical
go.
issues.
Perfect. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, our production assistant, Carly's here.
And
The
thank
Mexican
you,
Menace.
Carly.
The Mexican Menace. What is her last name?
Mexican Menace.
I just had to come up with something because I didn't.
How about the cute assistant or something like that?
Oh, the lovely young assistant, the LYA.
Yes.
You're our LYA.
Okay, so yeah, Jim, let's just get going then, since we just totally monkey fucked the
Want to start over?
introduction.
We can start
We're
over.
live. I mean, what's the point?
Not gonna have it.
Who's listening? We just totally
What is
monkey
that?
fucked the football.
Yeah, we did. Like I said, I suck at this. So, thankfully, well, I didn't have the camera pointed at us,
Yeah.
which was kind of a main thing. So we're going to talk about some stuff today. So let's.
Like I said, industrial complex is where you want to start off. So military industrial complex, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. So why is this on my mind today? I think there's a lot of our current political situation and current just the worldview that we have, and a lot of it was driven by the military-industrial complex. And I think that
Why don't you take a moment, a step back, if you will,
step back.
and let's define what the military-industrial complex really is.
Okay, so what happened essentially in history was man, I can't even pronounce the words. The
Started back in his story. Dun, 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 dun.
So it kind of got a little bit of a start during World War I when we needed to ramp up and put some soldiers in place, but we didn't really go there from there. So
Well, that was really the beginning, definitely World War One. The military
that was
buildup.
that was when the military buildup really started to go.
Where people dedicated large portions of GDP to building up a standing military.
Exactly. And that was the question: is what level of a standing military?
A
should we have?
mechanized
and we know that the
military. That's a key portion of this, involving involving industry.
Yeah, mechanized.
So,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because mechanized military is where really they discovered there was now,
And that involved a lot of fingers, because now you have fingers into industry that weren't there before. So
Correct.
people are now becoming extensively. Not only are we getting land and whatever out of the actual, if you get land or whatever out of the actual victory of the war, there are other people profit. You don't even have to win the war now for there to be profit involved.
No, that's almost.
Yeah, it's inconsequential.
It is inconsequential.
Yeah.
Let's go back to how it all got started. So, you can go through World War I and get into it, but where it really became a thing was when the World War II. We were drawn into World War II with some assistance from our government as well.
Drawn,
but we'll call it a worthy cause because I think there's a lot of reasons why World War II had to be fought. But the economy was truly boosted by the absolute, we need to build up our military, whatever. Obviously to fight the war at the time. Now, the business interests involved essentially realized that this wartime economy was, man, it was
tits.
It was badass.
Tits.
They loved it.
Everybody got rich.
And peace was not going to interfere with,
keeping those companies
going. They had to find a new way to maintain that economy that they had created. The short-term vision, basically, of how it all began was we've been, after World War II, we got involved in the Korea conflict, and we've basically been in some level of war, perpetual war, ever since. And every president that's come along, even Eisenhower, who warned us about the military-industrial complex, had a big role in it being developed.
Well, but again, at the same time, though, let's go into his quote that we have.
Oh, we have a quote from General Eisenhower.
Yes,
so
and
President Eisenhower.
Well, and there's the nail in the head, my friend. He was a general, so he very much saw the pitfalls. Right. And here's the quote: "In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist." Word, brother.
Yeah. Now, I believe he made that comment in his final address.
He did.
Yeah. So he waited for 8 years of military buildup in order before he sort of had this come. Well, like a lot of men, when they get older and they start looking back on their life, they begin to. I mean, he was a very moral guy. Prior to his presidency, when he became president, there were some real questions about the decisions he made. A lot of people in Europe were very surprised by some of the stances he took. And, I like Ike, but there was, that's a whole other history going into the presidency.
He built our highways.
He built our highways. He did a lot of great stuff, like a lot of presidents. Nobody is either evil or good.
There was the Korean War and all.
There was the Korean War. He
didn't drop the bomb because that was...
and he was against dropping the bomb.
What was his name? The other big general who wanted to drop the bomb. And
MacArthur.
MacArthur wanted to nuke North Korea.
Well, that's one of the reasons we have a secular government that rules over the military, because military has sort of a. Oh, I know what happened. You can't change rooms. That's what happens.
Wow. Production's assistant was arranging things, so pay no mind. The Q production assistant.
Sit down, pet a dog.
All right. So go ahead.
So, well, shit, I forgot where we were. But so the military-industrial complex grew out of World War II, and they wanted to maintain the war. Now, we talked about this last week.
Let's just see who's they. Who benefits? Qui bono, my friend. Qui bono.
Well, who benefits? Obviously, the industrial leaders and the politicians who are financed by them.
Yes.
Which goes back to what I was talking about Henry Wallace and how he basically got essentially screwed out of the vice presidency in 1944 and would have been the eventual president. Now, what did he do that was different, or what might he have done that was different than what Truman allowed to get away with? And one of the biggest things, and everybody thinks that NATO is this wonderful thing, but NATO was essentially the United States becoming an international power. We put military bases in foreign countries, all surrounding the Soviet Russian threat.
Yeah, well, we were
perceived.
Well, I mean, whether perceived or actual,
right,
or inserted influence, we were the protective blanket against communist Russia. Like
that was a political decision that got made.
Sure.
Never other than imperial nations.
Yeah.
The United States was not an imperial nation at this point. We did not have.
Well, you could probably have an argument with the Hawaiians about that, or the Puerto Ricans.
Well, but we
or
didn't
the
have
Cubans,
Well, we didn't have.
or Mexico.
Well, not in the 50s. The Cubans would have said.
I'm just saying, there's a few places where we definitely did some serious imperialization.
It's not like somebody flipped the switch, but we certainly didn't have military bases all over Europe when World War I started. Or
Definitely
World War II started.
true. Our influence became global.
So now
after
we have
World
all
War
these
II.
military
Yes,
bases, which we
definitely.
also have to support and finance.
Yeah. But to say weren't imperialistic yet was
Well,
I think,
not
a bit of a stretch.
Okay, maybe that's the
Yes.
wrong way.
Definitely, we did not
phrase it.
have European influence as we did after World War II. Definitely true.
No, we definitely didn't have that, and we also didn't have to support all these bases.
Yes.
And we obviously got involved in the North Korean conflict.
And that expanded our Asian influence.
Asian influence was the
Which
next level, and then
We
went to
already had
Vietnam.
Japan, so the Koreas really just made sense
Yeah, it did.
because they wanted something on the China mainland. Which, being most of you degenerate motherfuckers are really bad at geography, I'll just clue you in that Korea is attached to China. You're welcome. And then there is the North China Sea and Sea of Japan, where Japan is literally like a stone's throw away from the coast of South Korea. You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes.
Carry on, sir.
Sure.
So, it's North Korea, Ike.
So North Korea, Ike. So we go into this state of perpetual war. Now they're not
Kidding,
not
by
even
the way.
war.
You're all smart people who listen to our show. I know that.
They're police actions. That was kind of a new thing where you didn't need Congress to declare war.
That was absolutely a new thing. There was never this gray area of war. It was either war or not war.
Yeah, Thomas Jefferson pulled this move actually back. Our very first war was based on Thomas Jefferson sent the Navy to the Barbary Coast and
To wipe out the pirates.
and waited to tell. Well, basically the Muslims were attacking American ships and enslaving.
Muslims. Oh, easy there.
Well, this was back
Mein Führer.
Mein Führer. I'm just saying.
I don't think they were all Muslims. The Barbary Coast pirates. I don't think they were all Muslims.
No, Muslim countries were financing and supporting them to get slaves. So they were, and what it came down to was that prior to that, American ships never got fucked with because we were under the Union Jack. So they were protected by England. When we lost the war, England pulled their protection, obviously, and said, "Oh, so what's it like to sail around the world without English protection?" So then they were attacking American ships, taking the people. But what's important about this history was
you got your island now, you sons of bitches.
Thomas Jefferson sent the Navy to basically put these guys in their place, but he didn't tell Congress until these ships were
the Mosquito Fleet.
They were so far out to sea. Yeah, there you go.
Mosquito Fleet.
You're filling in the history blanks. So he made it. He waited until the fleet was so far away from America that there couldn't even the fastest ship couldn't catch them and recall them in case Congress turned down his declaration of war. So it has been going on, and it was actually a pretty slick move because we fucked up those dudes. New thing: American ships aren't to be touched. Suddenly, our people aren't being.
We cleaned up them pirates.
Who were working for the Muslim powers of the Ottoman Empire at that time, and nothing to do with Muslims or Islam. Don't get all religious about it. It was just the way the world was, man. You went into the wrong neighborhood, you got your ass kicked.
Really upset.
It's no different than the mafia.
Blatant racism right now.
It's not racism; it's humanism.
But
we're all assholes.
Yes.
So
the Mosquito Fleet. So
anyway,
Jefferson sent the army in there.
Right.
Or
So
the
then we
Navy
started.
in
We
there that didn't really have
reinvented
yet.
the police states, the police actions. Started with Korea. Then we had Vietnam, obviously, which was never a declared war, even though we dropped more bombs in Vietnam than we did all of World War II. But that's just a detail. What does it matter?
On a little strip of land. I mean, North Vietnam was tiny.
Yeah, I think it's the size of
It's
North
not.
Dakota
It's not. Yeah, all the land mass equals a state, perhaps.
perhaps, yeah.
Perhaps.
So
And we carpet bombed the shit out of it,
like an unbelievable amount of bombs.
and they still drove us essentially out.
Well, the whole thing in Vietnam, and actually there's a new Ken Burns documentary on PBS, which before we go into any Vietnam conversations, I do want to watch that because I want to see what the latest reporting from Ken Burns' point of view.
Well, this is going to be straight history, so you know that it's not. That's what you got to respect about Ken Burns.
Exactly. It's like I'm going to go through all the information. I'm going to present the most pertinent.
And he shows it from the first person, like he's reading people's letters.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not. He's not retelling anything. The story is being told by the people who were there.
Right. So we're going to hear from the North Vietnamese. We're going
Yeah.
to hear from Ho Chi Minh. We're going to hear from the South Vietnamese government. We're going to hear from all these different entities, I assume. So it should be really interesting.
It's gotten good ratings.
But here's why I wanted to bring up the military and
reviews.
industrial complex, is because we're in a time when we've got $20 trillion debt and growing, and it's over $20 trillion. We're talking about economy. We're talking about
you
this.
liberals in your programs.
It's the programs, right? Which is bullshit, because it's the military-industrial complex that pull. If you want to reduce America's deficits and their overall debt,
Right.
there's no way to do it without reducing the military. And this military, which everybody agrees we should have a strong
Top
military.
13 countries. We spend more than the top 13 countries combined. That includes
Combined.
China.
And it goes back to something we were talking about earlier.
Russia.
We have enough nuclear weapons. Now,
UK.
let's think about this. Yeah, you can go down the list.
Japan, everybody. Anybody
China,
who's
Russia.
China. Enough to those two combined. Come on.
Yeah, we're so much bigger in terms of our military.
Can we just
But
do
what's
the top 5?
What's
And
interesting?
then everybody goes to school for free.
Yeah,
Think we spend more. All we have to do is go back to spending more than the top 5 combined. Not individually.
right.
And everybody goes to school for free.
But but through the power and influence they have, whatever the threat out there is, it always seems to grow to just about where our military is.
It always seems to not grow too large until we need to increase spending.
Yes,
Every
time. Now we need to do another. They want to do Star Wars again.
And they're sending more motherfuckers to Afghanistan.
So there's
And you got a crazy asshole running the show.
Let's
it's only
think about
gonna go
this in
more
terms of
sideways.
budget. In terms of budget, I just want to give that little example about the America's ability with the use of nuclear weapons to destroy the world. We have enough nuclear weapons, and I'm being conservative because it may be more than this, but let's say 3 times over.
Blow it up.
We could launch our nukes, blow up the world, kill
Everything.
virtually everything, everybody, for at least 100 years before even the first creature can start to be able to exist
Right.
again. Then we could do it again. Number 2, we have enough nuclear weapons to blow up
And
the
that
world.
doesn't even talk about the fall on the thousands of years, where the actual
we're just talking-
epicenters,
Yeah.
where the actual fucker hits. That area is 50-mile square radius is dead for like 1,000 years.
Yeah, if only 50.
Yeah.
These bombs are so big we haven't set any off.
Yeah.
Because we don't
So-
know what the actual destruction will be. We can just mathematically
And then the
estimate.
fallout goes all over the place.
So now we've
saying
destroyed the
whole
world
Earth is dead at that
twice
big-
over,
yeah,
right?
For thousands of years. Let's just call it thousands
And now
of years.
somebody in Congress decided to fund the purchase of nuclear weapons so we could destroy the world a third time.
Yes.
Now, one Stinger missile probably it costs more money than like the NEA
Millions of dollars.
has gotten in the last 40 years. It's like one Stinger missile and all the cuts to the National Endowment for the Arts meant nothing. One Stinger missile. The spending is just out. And here's the thing.
Even that's to me. I want people to spend money on those things, but when we talk about, we should never have to talk about in this country failing schools, right? And it should never be an argument of, it's better if it's privately funded or it's publicly. No, it should be publicly funded. We have the capital. We as a people and our taxes invest the capital. And at the very least, if we are talking about what should be provided, that should be fucking provided.
Right.
A free education for everyone. Period. Start at least, come on, competent through K through 12. The goddamn right you better deliver. You want to have a real honest conversation about beyond 12, fine. But K through 12, you deliver.
Ours should be the most
basically
advanced education classrooms in the world.
Why do you
every
think
every student, every child in this country?
I think Germany kicks our ass.
We're the richest, most powerful country in the world, and we give our kids a shit education because we don't want to fund it. We want to cut it. We blame the teachers.
Yes,
they're a bunch of assholes. Teachers that are buying their own crayons and construction paper because we can't pay them.
They're bringing their own materials for their kids. Fuck you.
That's all about funding. It's all about funding and making sure that the schools have all the resources available. And we don't want to do that. But here's what's funny is people...
We don't want to reduce spending on military budget for our fake boogeymen to do that.
Right, but they will talk about how the education system is a big socialist program and all this kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what's funny, it is a socialist program, but so is the military.
So is taxes.
The military is the largest socialist institution that has ever existed in human time. It is our #1 jobs program in the United States.
All those contractors, All north of Grumman.
And who's paying for that? We're paying for that with our collective dollars because we've decided we want
Rand
to support the military.
Corporation.
That is the definition of socialism.
I mean,
no question about it. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a tool that we're using, but we're so overusing it because we get sold this military, and we're not even taking care of our soldiers and our veterans. These soldiers don't make shit for money. These veterans can barely get the care they were guaranteed.
Yep.
But somehow we can afford another set of nuclear weapons to destroy the world.
Yes.
So don't tell me that the military and
You don't even
industrial
take care of
complex-
the people
So if you want to
who
focus
you
your
say
anger-
are vital to our national security, which are the soldiers.
Yeah, let's not be cutting the things that are minor and we might disagree about here and there when the biggest cost of our entire government is that we can control is the military. At some
Absolutely.
point, you have to you can respect the military.
Just top 5.
Yeah.
Just top 5.
Hell,
Come on.
we have enough room to go top 10.
Yeah.
And still save enough money
Trillions.
to solve virtually
No, I
every
want top
social
5.
issue.
Yeah,
And
top 5. I
we can
I
go
put the money in.
How about top 8?
Fine.
Top
I'll
8.
compromise.
Because I want to be able to pay down the debt.
Yeah.
And make sure that's reasonable.
Sure. Jeez,
and
we'd
not
kill
operate
that.
at a deficit because because then we can afford tax cuts.
It's all this goddamn
But
bullshit.
if you're not going to cut the military, then you want to cut taxes.
Yeah.
I have no idea where you learned your fucking math. Probably in the same educational system that's underfunded because we're so busy buying so
yeah.
many nuclear weapons. So
because
that
you
was
don't
my-
know even the difference between your, and your.
We might have been cut off by you.
There, and there. What?
So-
cut off.
I don't know. Our live chat went away. But here's the point.
Oh.
I wanted to bring up
still
the military.
recording? Something recording us?
It should be.
Something's recording us, right? Like on a hard drive somewhere?
Yeah, we're still live. No, the hard drive I pulled.
Well, we don't even have a hard drive copy of what we're doing?
No, this is all wing it, man. Don't worry about it. We're good.
All right.
It's all up there.
All right, then.
We're streaming live. All right, so that was my rant on the military-industrial complex. What an important issue it is. How much more important it is than anything else we talk about, gay marriage or transsexuals
That's
or
the
whatever
problem,
the fuck we
Jim.
want to talk about.
Nobody wants to talk about
We
that.
need tax reform. We need tax reform.
That's
No,
not
we
gonna
need
do any-
military.
No, that's only
reform.
going to create jobs. What the fuck? I'm so tired of hearing that absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
There's such fake science and voodoo math behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Does it no way correlates cutting taxes to creating jobs ever?
Yeah.
Ever in the history of the economics.
No, all it does is put more money in the pockets of the businesses because usually that goes to
Demand
the,
creates jobs. Giving money to
Yeah.
the most people who can then buy the many products.
Yeah, if we could sell like the widget spinners
Yeah.
to all of China, and we needed people to build widgets, we could create jobs.
I mean,
That's
the
what it
more
comes down to.
people that can afford to buy fucking computers, the better the computer industry is going to be. The more people who can afford to buy a fucking car, the better the fucking car industry is going to be. They're not going to give a flying fuck how much taxes they're paying when cars are flying out the door. They're paying, look how Ford in the glory years, last 3 years prior to this one, when the car industry had its renaissance, cars are flying out. Were they complaining about their fucking taxes?
No.
Is they're booking all that fucking revenue? Billions of dollars.
No, that's how the
No.
auto workers made all the money that they
God
made. 'Cause
damn it.
Yeah. All right, what's next on our agenda? Because we want people to listen to this military-industrial complex
fucking
conversation.
All
and
right.
bring me something.
So here's what we're going to do.
What's up next?
We're going to switch. We're going to pivot to local politics. We're going to do more local politics here lately, I think. So there's been a lot of hubbub. So Arizona is a medical marijuana state, and I feel as someone who's in, who participates in that economy, it's very passive, in my opinion. I feel like it doesn't affect the vast majority of people who live in the valley specifically, right? It's not something that's in your face. It's not something that directly affects your life unless you go in. It's still one of those things you still have to go and look for. Like you still want to have to go out and be a part of it,
Right.
right? And that's one angle. And angle number two is there's this whole crusade still among the far right in Phoenix to demonize, degrade anyone who is part of this economy in any way, right? Without any actual science behind that indicating that it's a group of people that need to be overly policed, right? And let's just take the group of people that I know directly, right? And in far as 5 degrees of separation, all the closest people I know are involved who either use marijuana in some fashion, right? All extremely successful people. None of them are living in their mother's basement. None of them have emotional problems. None of them are running around jerking off on street corners. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not raping your mother, right? They are hardworking, intelligent human beings.
Right.
All of them successful too, well above the quotidian.
Right.
Right. All of them have hit essentially the everyman home run.
Right. They're all doing awesome.
Yeah. So this whole projection of what a person who uses marijuana is completely false, this narrative, right? Now, yes, are there stupid people who use marijuana? Absolutely. Just as there's stupid people who fucking drink. Like legions of them, right?
There's no shortage of stupid people.
Yes, exactly.
We're all stocked up.
Yeah, I mean, there's not, anything, and you can find a whole bunch of people who are skinny that are stupid. You could find a whole bunch of people who eat too much that are stupid. You know what I mean? So there's absolutely a marijuana is not the key indicator of stupidity and or negative behavior.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. There's a number of other factors that come into that. So to take a broad brush and just paint everyone who uses marijuana as some sort of degenerate and some sort of person who is on the fringe of society.
Well, it's low-hanging fruit because
Yes.
you're people that are prejudiced against it or don't have any experience with it or don't know about it.
Yes.
That's easy. Hey,
Yes.
I don't like marijuana, so I'll pick up the people that do. Well, that's simple. I'll do that. And that's
Because
very...
they use the reefer madness. They still that's still some sort of a reality in their minds, or they turn the machine,
Right.
The panic machine.
Right. But interestingly enough, because of it's such a powerful substance and it's affecting so many different levels of society, even Joe Arpaio came out in support of medical marijuana because many of his constituents were elderly people.
Right.
And he got an earful from them about it because they were some of the biggest benefits. Because, I mean, you get to be elderly, you got aches and pains and all kinds of, you can't keep food down, especially if you're suffering, a lot of the drugs you take affect you in different ways. And this is like an elixir that just kind of makes everything okay.
Dude, when I'm 70, it's wake and bake.
Well, why
I'm
would
24/7. I'll spend the rest of my retirement stoned. End of story.
But you don't even need to get stoned. I mean, getting stoned is, obviously the THC has medical benefits too, and it also has the intoxicating effect. But the CBD doesn't have the intoxicating effect, and it does amazing things.
Oh yeah, all of those studies with kids who have autism and epilepsy,
and
all kinds of muscle disorders.
Doctors at the Mayo Clinic are prescribing this for children because they've seen the results.
Yep.
And they deal with this kind of stuff every day. They're on the cutting edge of research, and they know this is a good substance that could be used in so many ways. And so, but I don't know where this fear comes from, or sort of this almost like I want to deny something that you like because you're different than me, and that makes you stupid. And the miseducation about it is huge. And there's actually a whole history behind how that came about.
Right.
And it all started, I believe that the majority of it started with the newspaper magnate who also was the paper magnate. And his name's escaped me. It was Rosebud from the movie. But, he didn't want to compete with hemp in terms, he had all these lumber yards.
Right.
He wanted to make paper out of his wood.
Of course.
But he didn't want to compete with hemp.
Which is incredibly cheaper to grow and 100% renewable.
The Constitution was written on hemp.
Yes.
That's such a horrible thing. And there's no narcotic
None.
or thing in hemp. But
there's so many other things that you can make clothing out of hemp. You can make paper out of hemp.
Oh.
You can't even when you touch a hemp shirt. That's that's been not like the tough woven like wool one, like a t-shirt.
Yeah,
it feels no different than cotton, and it wears longer than cotton.
Yeah, it doesn't break down as fast and stuff like that. It's a beautiful thing, but because it interfered with his business prospect, and it was right after the prohibition thing kind of fell apart so they went after that. And it was also there was a big immigration thing because that was also during the time of the Depression, and so they were attacking the Mexican day workers. Well, that sounds very familiar to something that's happening in modern time. And one of the things they did is they associated
marijuana
with them in order to demonize them even more.
Yep.
And also it was also big in the black community, specifically in the music community, which was large in the black
jazz.
community. Yeah. And jazz was being born at this time.
Yeah.
Blues were being born at this time, and they were also, purveyors of marijuana because it was a much better alternative to alcohol, cheaper, and also at the time legal before they went after it. So there's a whole history of this, of where it came from.
And whiskey, what I want to drink, and reefer, what I want to get high.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. This doesn't mean anything. And you got guys you have NFL players losing their careers over it. It's just, You got to be kidding me. You know, they don't care this guy's going to a strip club till 4 o'clock in the morning drinking, you know, Ciroc by the bottle.
Right.
But Ricky Williams has a couple of puffs, and we got to kick him out of the NFL for how many years?
You know, I give that guy a lot of credit. He was unapologetic for his lifestyle, and nor should he had to.
Well,
he was a badass. I mean, Ricky Williams was a fucking freak.
He was a badass, but he also suffered a lot of like anxiety issues, psychological issues, and the marijuana helped him a lot.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You want me to give up my medicine so I can do my?" It made no sense.
Right.
But we were so locked into the narrative that already existed.
Well, it's it's the whole public persona for the NFL. They can't do anything progressive. They can't do anything far-reaching. It's a business. It's just like the corporations I work for. Same exact mindset.
Right.
Right? They have to present the era of conservatism because that's the narrative of the day. Right? Once that narrative changes,
it's all about
then they'll
sales,
all be
sales.
then they'll all be step in lock with it. They don't give a fuck whether or not you smoke weed. They give a fuck whether or not you smoke weed and it interferes with any sales that they do because it's against popular opinion.
And this is one of the Achilles heels of capitalism. I love capitalism. Capitalism is a great tool. But one of the Achilles heels is that once money becomes the number one driving factor in something, the facts just get manipulated and changed and ignored and massaged because sales matters more than truth.
Yep.
Period.
End of story.
End of story.
Yep. So and anything
you got to
socially that they feel will hurt that bottom line, whether they agree with that policy or not, they will implement it. So the public perceives them to be in step with that exact same mindset.
And this gets back to what we talked about earlier, the military-industrial complex. They had a meeting, and people literally said, we need to maintain a wartime economy at all times.
Right.
It's critical to our business to make sure that the United States is engaged in military action somewhere planes. At all times. And we need to keep advancing our military technology as much as possible. Now, part of that is true. It's easy to get behind, like, well, we should definitely keep ahead of our enemies. Yeah, you don't want to be
riding in tanks with horses.
Yeah, exactly. Oops. You don't want that. So you sell it, but then you oversell it. You oversell to the point of, well, and we also got to speak.
Like that Raptor, that airplane they just made, a trillion-dollar boondoggle, right? This plane that they so overshot all budgets on.
Yeah, and the Japanese Zero could shoot it out of the sky because it's so shitty.
No, I mean the newest plane we have now.
Oh, I thought the F-30, was it the F-35?
No, this new Raptor plane that they have. It's supposed to, the latest in the stealth fighters.
Right. Well, that's critical. I mean, that's
sure, but
that's good technology.
But it's like an example of massive waste, right? But each plane is like $4 million, $5 million. It's like obscene. Like they went so far over cost, and it's not. It just
they're more than 4 or 5 million. They're like I think you were right with the billion. We should look at the numbers up.
Each plane, I don't think, is $1 billion.
I don't know, man. When you get that stealth technology,
dude, they learned that from aliens.
They learned it from aliens. All right.
Watch Netflix on that. We're talking about the next week. We're going to talk about that. I forgot about that.
Why don't you pontificate for a while because it's time for my ritual.
Well, I'm going to give a final on this then. You go do, I'm going to just give the positive
you give your
spin.
Final and let me know where we are when I get back.
So there's something happened here in Phoenix. So for those of you who do live in Arizona, you know who Bill Montgomery is. He is our dickface of a DA. That's right. I call him a dickface. And he has been on a personal crusade since the day the Medical Marijuana Act passed in the state to squash it. And he officially got the smackdown this week. The Arizona Supreme Court saved the state's medical marijuana law on Tuesday, slapping down Maricopa County attorney's crusade to overturn it. And this is from the New Times. Ray Stern, good reporter. But anyway, they completely denied the petition to review the state court's appeal, which essentially sanctified the law. And now he's got no other recourse. Even though, obviously, the voters overwhelmingly supported it in the state, hence it passed, this little cockface has been going around fighting it using, I will say, our tax dollars to fight a bill that we all voted for into law. So, I mean, I don't know what a bigger violation of his duties could be, personally, but apparently he didn't give a fuck. So, anyway, Monty's fucked on that one, which is great for Arizona. But there is some sort of douchey documentary that's coming out, which kind of started this whole conversation today on Fox, the local Fox station. It's like, I think it's titled like Pot City or some shit like that. You know, and you just know from that kind of nomenclature right off the bat what their spin's going to be, right? Pot City. You live in Pot City. Oh, dude. They'll be jerking off on your lawn, all these potheads. It's going to just be anarchy. That's pretty much what their message is going to be without any basis, in fact. Because if you look at Denver where that's legalized, none of the things that all the negative pontificators said would come to pass did pass. Right. Nothing. Zero. No increase in crime. No increase in DUIs. Nothing. Anyway, so that's what kind of brought this conversation to pass. Is there's some negative media, but every single time when they go up against the law, guess what? The will of the voters is spoken. So all you can just suck a fart and just deal with the new world. Okay. And guess what? It doesn't. And that's the other thing. It just doesn't affect these people. As somebody who goes to these places, and everyone we know essentially uses it, it doesn't affect all the people who do not, because we don't even deal with any of them. Like, I'm not in their face. I'm not in their world. And these where you go to pick it up is in nowhere where it's a normal. It's not obtrusive. It's not in your face, right?
Right.
It's not sitting next to the Taco Bell.
It's not like
on Bell Road.
Alcohol, which is advertised up and down the street on every television.
Every liquor store in 5 feet. Yeah. Every grocery store sells fucking liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just a part of what we do.
With little bunnies and dogs who entice your kids. That's okay, huh? Fuck you. God damn it. All right. So let's just move on from that then.
All right, then.
So
where are we going?
Anyway, from now on in the future, we're going to be doing at least one local story.
We got to do a local story. All right. Act locally, think globally.
Because there's a lot of stuff that we were talking about Doug Ducey next week, I think, our governor, and his crusade against the public school system. So we're going to get into that next week. But for now, I think our next subject is going to be a little bit about regulation. So I think that, obviously with our new president, I guess he's not new anymore. It's still hard to believe. But anyway, his big premise, one of the big key tenets of his party platform for president was deregulation, right? And one of those areas of deregulation, of course, financial industry, right? And everyone's like, well, okay, fine. At least on that side of the fence, we need to deregulate. What are we protecting ourselves from, right? I think that's where people really miss, like, what the point of these regulations are. And I'm taking Exhibit A right here, ladies and gentlemen, as an example of such thing. So I just refied my loan for my house recently. Got a great rate. Nova Home Loans, giving them a shout out. Good people if you need a refi. So anyway, I got this in the mail. And then if you want to take a look here for you folks at home who are actually going to watch, right? Very official looking package, right? You don't typically get junk mail on something that looks like this, right?
No, that looks like it's...
Like, this is some shit that I should have paid attention to, because I just refied.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting some sort of pay slip anyway to send in for the first time before I can set up my online account, right? So it comes in this package, and now here's the opening letter, right? It's letterhead. Again, very official looking, right? You see something like that, you're like, well, you're going to pay attention, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's coming from your lender.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. But in no way or shape or form is it from my lender. No. Okay? It is a company, right?
What do you mean, Todd?
Yes, exactly. And they're even quoting the FHA. They're saying the Federal Housing Administration reduced annual mortgage insurance premiums effective January 16, 2015. Depending on when your loan is insured, you may be eligible for an MIP reduction, reflective of your letter when I first signed the loan. So they are, sending me these things about my loan, right?
Right. That's specific to you.
Yes.
That.
And all it is another. They want me to send in them my essentially my private information,
right,
to help me with another refi,
right. That sounds totally legit.
Yeah, and look, they even have what all this crap is. Look at this. So there's this, right? So to a lay person, so someone who's not really paying attention, who's not really been listening to or watching all the business news on all the fraudulent shit that's been going on. You do something, you make transactions involving your mortgage, and then shortly thereafter you get a letter like this. It's gonna you may follow through on something that you don't really necessarily want to be following through on.
Right. because you think that you're talking to somebody that you already
Yes.
know, that you've already established a relationship with.
Right. Giving someone personal information.
Yeah. And the thing about, they're asking you for social security. Well, I go to the doctor's office, they ask me for my social security numbers like 6 times. I got to
Right.
fill out my name, my middle initial on like 6 different pages.
But you're protected by HIPAA.
We're protected
There's a
by
law.
My point is that it's not uncommon to be asked for your information
Right.
over and over and over again, to the point where once you think you're in a trusted situation, you'll do it. It doesn't really necessarily raise a flag
Right.
once you're inside what you believe is a safe cocoon.
Right.
Okay. Yes, Todd, you're a customer. Okay, so just put your bank, your loan number down here, and
Right.
this and there, so we can identify, this is definitely you. Okay, yeah, here's my info. Get back to me with this new rate reduction that I'm looking forward to.
Right. Right.
And they're going to save you money, which is the best way to sell you something is to actually give you money.
Yes.
Good job.
But yes.
That they did it. They did a very good job.
Yes, but that brings up the point. Like, why would we need regulation? Why do we need to regulate financial industries? Because this is just a microcosm. This is a tiny scrape off the roof,
Right.
Of the kinds of business practices.
Well, in their defense, Todd, they do say buyer beware. So you got that in your pocket as a.
But they know the timing. They used all this information that they gleaned with the public information stuff.
I wonder where they learned that stuff.
They just went out and they pulled this shit off the internet. Essentially, that they went. So the guy who actually the Home Nova guy, the Nova loan guy. They told me this was going to happen. Right.
They warned you about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, you're now because you just replied and now it's public record, and there's companies that just go out there and surf public record. To find people who have recently done transactions, to send them things very much like this, indicating that it may be from the transaction you just initiated. So that my guys warned me that this stuff could be coming down the pipe.
And there it is.
Yep, here it is. So they went out to public record. They saw that I had something. This is what they do. They just look for this shit daily, every day. They're just, trying to find. All they need is how many hits they need out of the thousands of people they send this to make a transaction to make some sort of money out of it. Right.
Right.
It's a numbers game, and obviously it's working because nobody would be fucking doing it. Right. And if you can't think this is predatory.
It's predatory.
100%.
And where is this bank located? Is it by chance out of Florida? Because I remember.
Let's see.
Or this organization, do they have a Florida address?
I love this, dude. Listen to this fucking fly-by-night name. Intercontinental Capital Group Incorporated. If you would give these fuckheads money, they're actually in Jericho, New York.
Ooh, they're in New York.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Helm of what financial industry? Oh, yeah, that's right. Kind of where fucking Jericho is.
I wonder how they got a New York address to do that. The reason I ask is because historically, Florida had actually Delaware and Florida, if I recall correctly, had very lax banking regulations and allowed companies to, basically do whatever the hell they wanted. So a lot of the fraud companies were based in Florida or Delaware. Just because the state regulations would allow them to pretty much just say whatever they wanted and do whatever they wanted. Almost like, down in the Caribbean and South America where they got these banks. They're like, yeah, we don't ask no questions. They don't give no answers.
Yeah, right?
That's it, man. They make movies about these guys. So regulation
is important.
I think it's important to understand
it's important to protect the consumer.
Well,
That's what I think all you need to recognize. You are the consumer. The rules out there, yes, in some instances, and because we haven't been minding the fences, this is on us. There are rules that have been built in to benefit the corporations. Absolutely. But also there are regulations out there that are meant to protect the consumer. And the credit bureau.
Yeah, we keep voting those down.
Yes.
Tearing them apart.
Yes, we continue to give power back to the corporation. They have enough.
As soon as somebody
the
stands
game
up
is
to them.
already skewed in their favor.
Yeah. That's what they do. They're really good at getting
they
stuff.
Can do this kind of shit with impunity. There's no consequences.
So people wonder what the role of government is, and they want to have less government, this government. One of the most important thing the government does is plays referee.
Yes.
We want we want capitalism, but we want fair capitalism. In order to have fair capitalism, you have to have a referee. You have to have somebody who's following the rules, who understands that the rules are made so that everybody's got an equal shot in the marketplace, and that you can't do, there's all kinds of, there's antitrust laws, there's but then you got people that fight against those laws, and where it gets
their own self-interest, because it's the average guy that benefits from those rules.
It's the regulatory organizations that get attacked,
right?
And who Trump is, in his presidency has put people in place.
So bad.
Yeah, they're so bad. They need to be torn apart. And now look what's going on in Houston. Houston's a great example. A little known story.
Socialism. Let's get rid of socialism now, huh? Texas? Yeah, let's do
because
that.
You need those FEMA dollars. But what about
that's
all the
federal money, you fucks.
There's so many chemicals in the air in Houston that they're recommending that people wear masks like they do in Japan and China and stuff.
Right, from all the chemical
because of all the
disasters
because of the disaster,
floods.
Mixing with the water and whatnot. But a lot of it's much worse than it would be in, say, Florida, but because Houston and Texas have much more
no regulations. Yeah.
So now the population's in much more dire.
Good luck with that.
Stress.
Don't care. Don't care. I'm already getting my millions of dollars from my money I put in the system to rebuild your fucking house. You should have been smart enough to guard your own air and water.
Yeah.
I'm helping you rebuild your house personally. So you should have been smart enough to guard your own fucking water.
Well, that's buyer beware. Texas, they love the lack of regulation until it turns around and bites them in
exactly.
the ass. And you also don't want to be so overregulated that the government's all up in your business either. I mean,
too much bureaucracy is certainly a bad thing.
Yeah, but the point is,
that's why they need to pull on each other.
We live in this society where everyone's like the EPA is just bad. No. Well, I'm sure the EPA did some bad shit. I'm sure there was some pain in the ass bureaucrats that just screwed over business, whatever. Yes. But they also did a lot of really good things too. So don't baby with the bathwater move on that.
Right.
Don't just destroy something because it doesn't affect you personally. You don't understand.
Right.
And they want no rules. And I always use the example of like, well, what if you lived in a house and let's go back a few hundred years and there's a stream, right? And like, okay, that's the stream you use for your water and your washing and all your needs, and it's great and whatever. Well, your neighbor up the stream builds a house, and he decides, fuck it, I want all this water. So he builds a dam and redirects all the water from the stream
into his fields,
into his crop, and you got no water now. None. And you go, well, it's a free country, shouldn't have bought a house downstream. Well, how far upstream do you got to go? And I mean, for him, how bad until somebody builds a stream, a dam in front of his?
Some megla corporation comes in, buys all the land, boom, builds a dam right before his.
Takes all the water and then wants to sell it back to you.
Yeah, right.
So at some point, you need regulation. At some point, the government is going to go, okay, how are we going to make sure the water is available, resources available to everybody? That's what government regulation is for and does. Because no individual or no corporation is ever going to actually
own own the water. Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
It's fucked up enough they own seeds.
The CEO of Nestle said that people are not entitled to water. That's not a human right. He literally said that in a all right, let's
insulated motherfucker. Let's let him move around.
What's next?
Move around among the people for a week, you dick, and say shit like that. All right, well, let's see. What else we got? We talked about the miracle. We might as well just go into sports.
I
think it's going to be a
Cubs.
Well, I guess since you did it, we'll just go there. So let's give you your glory. Go for it.
Go. Go Cubs,
You're the Cubs analyst, so.
Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are going to win today.
Suck ball today.
Pretty sure we won a game.
First place team in baseball.
First place team. Well, we just, I got to check. Did we sweep St. Louis today? I just want to bet with my buddy.
Oh, you barely sweeped a 500 team. Way to go.
Hey, you know what? They are our direct competitor in our division. Our division isn't bad. We just have great teams. So that's what
they're just all beating each other.
The Cubs won again. We swept St. Louis. Which means my buddy Eric now owes me $20, which I said I would take in trade because he's a chef and baker.
Yes.
So he's apparently going to make me some German chocolate brownies.
Wow.
That's what the Cubs have won for me. What did the Sox win for you this year?
They were always going to be bad. Yeah. There was never a chance for them to win anything. The Cubs were predicted to win the World Series again this year. So let's just be honest about expectations here.
I know you're trying to shout me down, but you spend your nights in a handful of tears watching.
No, I'm really it's kind of fun, honestly, with the White Sox are going on.
We took your best pitcher.
We took all your farm prospects. I mean, we got some really good young players now.
Yeah, you keep telling
I'm pretty. Is the local?
The Cubs are getting.
I'm pretty stoked about the
Diamondbacks. 14. The Diamondbacks are looking good too. They got to win that one playoff game. I think they clinched that wild card spot. If not, they're
just
damn close.
About. Just they won again today.
There's only 14 games left for the Cubs.
In a row.
We got 14 games left in the season. 4 of them against the St. Louis Cardinals.
The Rockies are pretty good. That's the thing. They got an explosive lineup.
Mm-hmm. Well, but the thing about it is we're going to have the Nationals. We're going to have the Dodgers. We're probably going to have the Cubs and maybe
the Cubs will probably have to play the Dodgers first round. Or no, the Cubs will have to play the Nationals. They're never beating the Nationals, man.
Not with our pitching? No, probably not. But
And Scherzer is like on, he's like epic, and they got the Gio Gonzalez. I mean, they got a really good pitching staff.
yeah, well, but we have now. I left out. I always mispronounce his name. The White Sox,
Quintana.
Quintana. Yeah, we left out him last week when I was talking about the pitchers that we have at the Cubs. We have actually some major starters if they're all healthy.
Ooh, Nationals lost to the Dodgers today.
Nice, but it doesn't matter. That those two guys playing together means nothing at this point. They're just playing exhibition games.
Well, the Dodgers need to get back on track.
They do.
They did.
They
now
do.
they are. They won like 5 in a row, 6 in a row.
Okay, because that was the thing. I was people are like, oh, they just got bored. I'm like, yeah, but you can be hot all year going to the playoffs and you're not in a winning mode.
Yeah, they just have such a wicked lineup, even without what's his name.
Yeah, it's going to be
Howie Kendrick, Murphy, Zimmerman, Rondon.
This is what I mean.
I mean, that's just like a murderous alley. Those 4 guys.
We can spend one day a week watching the Bears get murdered, which we did today.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Or you can watch a Game 7 in the playoffs. There's going to be 2 of
I'm
those.
going to watch the playoffs. I'm telling you, I'm down for watching the D-backs. I think they got a really good chance.
And I'm down for watching the Cubs. We'll see how far
I
they
can't
go.
wait till the Cubs play the Diamondbacks. I do. They're not making it out. They're not beating the Nationals. I'm sorry. They're not.
This is your belief.
They're too inconsistent.
I've talked
for
to
the
Dodgers.
playoffs.
I've talked to Dodgers fans, and the one team
Why do
they
you keep
fear
going
is
back to
Chicago
that.
Cubs.
We've already debunked these people.
We didn't debunk these people.
They're obviously knuckleheads.
That's why they worked in the Asian market. They're very progressive.
Who cares about their? Doesn't mean they know anything about baseball.
It means they're smart, and intelligent, and educated. These are fine young men with fine young attitudes.
Let's just flip over to the American League for a second.
How about that guy at the bar with the tattoo of the Cubs today?
How about those Indians?
The Indians.
Wow.
That was it's been a weird year. This year's been weird in a lot of ways, not just in sports. But
they are epic.
Our politics are crazy. Like the whole world.
Well, the Indians were in the World Series last year.
They weren't in the World Series, but
now they just got the hitting to go with the pitching.
Well, they were 2 games away from tying a record from 1916, I think.
Yeah. Well, they set the National League record. Or the American League. They set the American League
record,
yeah.
but they didn't set the National League record.
Yeah.
You got the Dodgers, which I can't believe they didn't have a 22-game winning streak because it seemed like they did. It's been a crazy, crazy year across the board. What's happening in sports is weird. Usain Bolt lost this year for the first time.
Who?
Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world.
Yeah, he's getting old.
I know, but he's never lost to anybody, at least not legally.
Well, he lost to Justin Gatlin.
But Gatlin got popped for steroids.
Many times.
Yeah. And they say, why won't they forgive me? Could be the 17 needle marks in your
arm. I don't know. I don't really believe you're clean.
Yeah. He's a Sammy Sosa.
He's our Sammy Sosa
of the track and field.
The Indians have 4 guys. They got 3 guys with 25-plus homers, and they got another guy with 20. They got 4 guys with 75-plus RBIs.
Yeah, but they don't have Brizzo.
They can hit. Plus, their pitching is
sick. The day after you were bitching about Chris Bryant, he put a 3-run homer in the left field.
Well, but I'm saying for the season,
on a 3-2 count.
He's been pretty absent from the being the hit when guys are on base. His batting average was .204 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, I know.
You can do your WAR, your BAR, your SAR, your FAR, and your FUCK, whatever. But the best telling statistic
is
batting average with runners in scoring position. That's the one.
That's the one you like to jump on because that's the one that works in your favor.
It's the important one when you're a fucking 4-hitter and a 3-hitter.
2-hitter.
Well, they had to move him up, I think.
They move him all over the place. He's still Brizzo. He's still. And then Rizzo's been carrying him. And then Schwarber. Schwarber's been batting almost .340 since he got back from the minor leagues after batting like .150 in the beginning of the year.
He's definitely a streaky guy. He's a young guy. Big hitters like that are often streaky. Big dudes like
streaky,
that.
But he needed some time. Problem is he's a bit of a defensive. I wouldn't call him a liability, but I would definitely call him
not an asset.
He's not an asset. No. He's just he can barely get the job done.
He's a beast.
I mean, the second you have room for DH, he's the first one they put.
Yeah,
in the
he's the DH. Yeah,
he's the DH guy. He really should be playing for an American League team, to be honest with you, because he's the kind of guy who could have a hell of a career.
Don't want him on the White Sox. He's not welcome.
You don't want a dude named Schwarber?
He doesn't really fit in with the current name scheme. It's all Latin American countries we got going right now.
Yeah.
A little Dominica we got happening.
Schwarber, the Schwab.
All right, let's get off baseball. Fuck baseball.
Baseball rocks.
Go to football.
Playoffs coming up. All right, football. If football's going to be any better.
So let's dissect the Bears first, or dissect the Bears' next loss. Ooh, there we go. There it sums it up. Ooh.
The closest moment we had this year to being a good team was when Jordan Howard dropped that ball on the goal line last week.
Yeah, that was it. That was our moment.
That was our moment, and nothing good's happened since.
Mm-mm.
We
I really feel like
2 minutes left. Less than 2 minutes left.
I really feel like Glennon looked a lot like Jay Cutler today. He didn't take care of the ball, threw some bad interceptions.
He threw some terrible interceptions, like really.
And they couldn't run the ball with a damn today. 16
Jordan
rushes for 20 yards. And they only ran the ball 16 times, so that doesn't really help. Fucking, what's his name? Glennon threw the ball 45 times.
Yeah, the Bears.
You're not going to win with Matt Glennon throwing the ball 45 times ever.
Have you seen our receiving core? I never even know who these guys are.
Yeah, I mean, in none of the. So we threw the ball 45 times.
I think the one guy works at Albertsons. I think he
one guy with over 100 yards receiving.
Mm-hmm. After 45 passes. And then how
the
about
highest yardage is 69 yards. Not even at 90.
Not even 90. Well, how about, we got Tariq, that kid that looked so great last week, read all his own press clippings and decided that Pop Warner rules. I'm going to grab this punt that's been bouncing around for,
He fucked up.
And there's only 2 defenders, so I can get the ball. I can not drop it and scoot. Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Because, in front of you is at least 9 Tampa Bay Buccaneers you'd have to figure out a way to get around.
Right.
It could have not. At least Glennon's bad decisions were snap decisions. He had, 17 bounces of that football to decide not to get away.
But he's a rookie. I give him a little credit, a little bit of a leeway.
Warner.
A little bit of leeway.
We learned.
He's a rookie. But the play before that, or the turnover before that turnover, there was a lot of the Bears are never going to win with 4 turnovers. They cannot turn the ball over. That is why they were in the game last week, because they did not turn the ball over one time.
And if we didn't turn the ball over this week, that's at least half of Tampa Bay's.
Yeah, one was a pick six, so take away a touchdown right there.
Tariq's mistake led to a touchdown. That's 14 right there.
Yeah.
That's half their score. They only scored 29, so it's wiped out 14.
And he would have been able to run the ball. He wouldn't have been mad fucking Glennon run 45 fucking passes. So they got to take care of the ball. But I think the really shitty story here is their offensive line has just gotten more patchwork. So Kyle Long didn't start, didn't play again. So backup Compton got hurt. So right guard Sinton, he got hurt. So they're without their backup to Long and then their other starting right guard, both out.
But for how long? Do we know?
I don't know. But that didn't help today either. That's what you can't run the ball.
So do you think
without your 2 beasts in the middle?
If our offensive line is not that banged up and they come back, are we going to look more like week 1?
Yeah, I think so. They have to. They have to run the football. They have when you got Jordan Howard and you got this Cohen kid. They're a fantastic combination.
They are,
and they're going to put. And now they've been dedicated to putting a fullback back there, which I think is a good idea. And they got 2 big. They got that Simmons, the big tight end. Sheehan, Zach is a competent blocker. I think they can run. They proved they can run the football last week. They ran the football really well.
Yeah.
So. But without you can't have your 3rd string guard in there and expect to move people off the offensive line. It just doesn't happen.
Okay.
So you can't have your 2nd and 3rd string guys in there.
So long-term prediction, would you say that an accurate statement might be that, we're going to lose almost every game, but just not this badly?
See, that's really what the meat of it you come down to. And I look at the schedule and I just don't see how they're going to win a game. I just don't see it. Yeah. They maybe the first game I see is what I would call winnable. Would be when they play the 49ers on December 3rd. That's the first game I say, they should win that game.
So December 3rd, we're looking at
week 13, I think. Week 12?
Of course, it's week 13.
Yeah. So let's face it. Next week the Steelers come to town. That's just going to be horrid. Then they have a short turnaround, and they have to go play at Green Bay on Thursday night.
Yeah, Steelers followed by Green Bay.
And then now they get the Vikings at home, and the Vikings have a really good defense. So and Sam Bradford plays, then that's a quality playoff team. Sorry. Then you have to go to Baltimore, and if that's just a better team. I'm not saying they're a good team; they're just better than the Bears at home, especially. Then you got the Panthers at home. I mean, that's 50-50-ish, depending on which team shows up for the Panthers.
Yeah.
Then you got to go to the Saints. Sorry, Drew Brees is probably going to hang like 5 touchdowns on him. That's the reality of it.
On that secondary?
But, I mean, it could be that could be a winnable game. Their defense is really bad.
Yeah.
The Saints.
The Saints have not looked good this year so far.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, New England just blew them out.
Yeah.
So, and they got blown out the previous week. So I think, they're definitely, that's a winnable game. Okay. So, my bad. So, it's not till 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Week 8.
Week 8.
I can see a victory.
All right. Well, it's nice to have nothing to look forward to, so that if anything good happens,
yeah, you
it's
kind of
better.
like, wow, it'll be all right, because I just didn't think that, honestly, after watching them last week, I didn't think that this kind of loss was, I thought we were past these kind of losses. I'm not saying they weren't going to lose games.
Right. I think
They
we were
were gonna
comfortable
lose
with the fact
games.
that we were probably going to lose because our team isn't as good, but we were respectable, and we did not look respectable today.
No, it was definitely turnovers, and and I also don't want to give it. It was that the turnovers were not helpful for the defense, but they didn't get a lot of pass rush. They did sack him twice, but most of the day, Winston had the time he needed to throw the football. There wasn't a lot of disruption in the pocket.
He certainly wasn't afraid of getting hit.
No, he definitely. We didn't have to worry about it very much.
Yeah, he was not looking over his shoulder. I mean, that one play where Floyd was less than half a second behind stopping that pass.
Yeah.
Was as close as I saw anybody get to a major one, and that's tough. But hey, if you're not getting if the guy's not worried about getting hit, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Now he's planting, he's throwing with confidence, and and he didn't have an awesome game. There was at least 4 passes that I saw that were in the end zone that were, I mean, man, they were very catchable. Could have easily could have smoked us and made us look
Right.
Like we did when we went to Washington and got beat by 50 or whatever that was.
No, it was only like 3 points. We lost like 45-43. We saw RG3 have the last good game of his career.
Yeah, we did.
Of course, it was against that Trustman shitty defense Bears.
Yeah, I just remember listening to that damn Redskins fight song over and over. And every time they scored, they had to do a little dance.
Yeah.
It was rough. It was a rough day.
It was rough.
We had good seats.
But the other thing they didn't Floyd hasn't been the guy yet.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was thinking that there was going to be he's gotten generated very little pressure.
Mm-hmm.
He did get it. I think he got the sack today, but they need a bit more from that kid if they're going to be a dominant defense.
Mm-hmm.
But one other thing I want to say about Glennon before we move on from sports is so Drew Brees also threw 45 passes today, right? Because he's coming from behind too. They lost 36-20 to the Patriots, but he threw for 356 yards and 2 touchdowns. He actually completed 4 less passes. I think it was 31 for 45 for Glennon, and it was 27 for 45 for Breeze. Mm-hmm. But he did throw 2 touchdown passes.
Yeah,
and how many for 50 more yards?
How many pick sixes?
With 4 less passes.
How many pick sixes?
No NITs.
See, there's the thing.
How do they give him a QB? Oh, what the fuck is? I hate QBR. What's his quarterback rating? I don't care about QBR.
Well, it's funny, and then it creates this weird number, like, it's a 128. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, save your stupid bullshit statistics. Just give me the real deal.
Yeah, let's the metric system showed us that things done in tens is nice. Right. Easy to quantify and understand.
Yeah, exactly.
We got all these
0.8?
weird numbers. It's like, it's a
what's
1.2.
the 0.9?
Yeah, it's a point. Yeah, what is there? What's the difference? I mean, it's like you have to be a fucking mathematician to understand
so
what.
If
you
he would have threw for 360, he would have got the full extra half point.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the algorithm.
Yeah,
I just know that the numbers they come up with are just really annoying. Like, could you just
stupid?
Can you do it on a scale that we understand? We like batting average. If someone's batting 300, okay, I know what that means.
Easy equation.
Yeah, it's out of 1,000.
Yeah,
300 out of 1,000. Okay, I can understand that. Well, what if it was out of 472? Well, okay, so that means he's over 50%. So what can't we just use a percentage instead? Or, come on, man. Stop being such. I mean, I love the nerds. Don't get me wrong. I love this, the work that they do behind the scenes, but you need to create a number that's marketable and digestible for the people that don't want to have to do math to watch a fucking game.
Well, let's do one more thing, too.
All right.
Jay Cutler today.
Yeah.
23 for 32 for 229 and a touchdown and no interceptions.
That's my son. Love me some Cutler.
Of course, he's got a great running game. That kid's a JA. He's 24 rushes for 105 yards.
We have Jordan Howard and
we got
Tariq
two
Cohen.
great running backs.
Yeah, so
They got
don't
they
try
got
to twist it, man.
They got good receivers too.
Cutler's a quality quarterback who got ran out of
They have
Chicago.
a pretty good offensive line in Miami too.
Yeah, it's amazing when he's not the only player that's good on your team.
Yeah, and of course we Adam Gates is, as we know, is a pretty good offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cutler had his best year under him. So
Yeah.
what's going to happen again? And we're going to say, "How come you couldn't have done that in Chicago?"
Well, he did do it in Chicago. He just got hurt that year.
Yeah, and you're just
Jackasses.
also you've been riding his ass so hard.
Oakland's killing it. Seattle's barely beating San Francisco right now. And we've got Denver beating the Cowboys in Mile High.
You did say Oakland's killing it, right?
Yeah, Oakland's killing it.
Okay, good.
Jets
So
are terrible.
I took them my Suicide Squad.
You could just be happy you're not a Jets fan. Really.
I'm just following the Jets around.
I mean, every day you should be like, yeah.
The nice thing,
I'm
I'm probably going to pick whoever team's playing the Bears or the Jets and get through at least half the season that way.
I can't do that. I'm just always picking the Bears.
You're always
That's how I
picking the
do it.
Bears?
That's just how I do it. I always give them the lowest in the confidence pool. I always give them the lowest ratings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not picking them ever again. I'm not lying. I can pick them next week. That's for damn sure. They can suck a fart out of my ass. Picked them the last 2 weeks.
At
Where
home,
they playing?
Yeah, I might take the Steelers.
Pittsburgh?
next week.
Yeah, I'm give them a number one.
Yeah.
Boop. Number one.
Seriously.
Well, folks, really, that's about it. I'm going to be a
I
short
think it
show
is.
today. It's, a lot of
Well, it's
drinking
shorter.
Sunday. We'll be more prepared next week. We might switch to Thursdays for the 3 people that are actually paying attention. So we'll let you know. We'll post something probably, or probably not, or we'll just probably go on the air. That's probably what's going to happen.
We'll always go on the air until I get around to start doing stuff.
So, be safe, everybody. And
Hold on.
what? Oh, wait. Jim's going to do something, I guess.
This website sucks ass.
Do, 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 do.
All right, everybody sing, everybody dance. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Damn It Jim Show. You can find us at Damn It Jim Podcast
Yeah. Go there. Watch it.
at Gmail. You can find us on YouTube at Damn It Jim Podcast on YouTube. We're also on iTunes if you care to join us there or download us our show later. And
Make some comments.
Make some comments. Let's have some feedback. We
You
know we're
maybe
idiots,
some
so
new
you can skip
topics.
that part.
Some new topics.
Topics,
Anything you may
yeah.
interested us to digest and
We have
throw around.
discussed many of the topics that have been brought up to me. Actually, there's a few topics that got brought up to me last week while I was out of town that we didn't touch on because it wasn't on our
We'll
agenda.
get to you people. Don't
but we'll
you
get to
worry.
you. We'll tell you
You
why.
can't hide.
All right. At that, thanks a lot for listening, and goodbye, everybody.
Later.